Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. Patrick and Susan were twins, born on a cold winter's night in the small town of Cedarville. Their father, a soldier who had served in the Vietnam War, had died in action before they were even born. Their mother, a child of the 60s, had raised them on her own, instilling in them a sense of independence and a love for adventure. Their mother, a petite woman with long, flowing hair and a free spirit, had been a flower child in her youth. She had been a part of the counterculture movement, and her experiences had shaped her into a woman who was open to letting her children experience life. She believed that by exposing them to different things, they would be able to find their own paths and make their own choices. Patrick, the older of the two by just a few minutes, was a tall, lanky boy with a mop of curly brown hair. He was the more adventurous of the two, always eager to explore and discover new things. Susan, on the other hand, was more reserved and introspective. She had a head full of curls and eyes that sparkled with curiosity. Growing up, Patrick and Susan had been inseparable. They had shared everything, from their toys to their dreams. They had spent countless hours playing in the woods behind their house, imagining themselves as heroes and adventurers. Their mother had encouraged their imagination, allowing them to create their own worlds and explore their own fantasies. As they grew older, Patrick and Susan began to develop their own interests. Patrick became fascinated with history and archaeology, spending hours poring over books and digging in the dirt for artifacts. Susan, meanwhile, discovered a love for music and art, spending her days painting and playing the piano. Despite their differences, Patrick and Susan remained close. They supported each other in their pursuits and shared their discoveries with one another. Their mother was proud of the way they had grown into their own individuals, yet she knew that they would always be there for each other. The sun was shining brightly as the twins, Patrick and Susan, accompanied their mom to the local mall. Their mom, a child of the 60s, was open to letting them experience life, and she hoped that a day out shopping would be just the thing to lift their spirits. As they entered the mall, Susan's eyes widened in excitement. The bustling crowds, the bright lights, and the array of shops all around them were overwhelming. Patrick, on the other hand, felt a pang of envy. He was fascinated by the girls' clothes department, with its vibrant colors and trendy styles, but he felt out of place in the sea of estrogen. Their mom led them to a female clothes store where she informed Susan that she needed new bras. Susan rolled her eyes, but she knew better than to argue. As they entered the store, Patrick felt even more left out. The store was filled with racks of lacy bras and delicate dresses, all designed for women. He felt like an intruder, out of place in this feminine sanctuary. Their mom browsed through the selection, picking out bras in various sizes and styles. Susan tried on a few, and their mom made comments on the fit and comfort. Patrick felt increasingly awkward, shifting from foot to foot and avoiding eye contact with the saleswoman. He wished he could leave, but he knew that his mom would be upset if he did. As the minutes ticked by, Patrick's discomfort grew. He could feel the eyes of the other shoppers on him, and he felt like a fish out of water. He wanted to be anywhere else but there. Suddenly, their mom turned to him and asked, "Patrick, would you like to pick out a shirt for yourself?" Patrick's eyes lit up. "Really?" he asked, his voice filled with hope. Their mom nodded. "Yes, go ahead. We'll meet you back here in a few minutes." Patrick's heart raced as he made his way through the store. He spotted a section dedicated to men's clothing and headed straight for it. He browsed through the racks, feeling a sense of freedom he hadn't experienced in a long time. He picked out a stylish shirt and brought it to the cashier, his face beaming with pride. As he returned to his mom and Susan, he couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment. He had finally found something that made him feel like he belonged. But as he approached them, he noticed that their mom was paying more attention to Susan than to him. She was complimenting her on her choice of bra and asking her opinion on other items in the store. Patrick felt a pang of hurt. He had thought that his mom would be proud of him for picking out a shirt, but instead she seemed to be ignoring him. He tried to hide his disappointment, but he couldn't help but feel like an afterthought. As they continued their shopping trip, Patrick couldn't shake off the feeling of being overlooked. He tried to engage his mom in conversation, but she seemed distracted, lost in her own world. Susan, on the other hand, was basking in her mom's attention, her eyes sparkling with delight. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they made their way to the checkout. Patrick's heart sank as he watched his mom pay for Susan's bra and the other items she had chosen. He knew that he would have to wait until they got home to receive his own purchase. As they walked out of the store and back into the mall, Patrick couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness. He had wanted this day to be special, to feel like he was a part of something, but instead he felt like an outsider, left out of the fun and the excitement. He tried to shake off his feelings, but he couldn't help but wonder if he would ever be able to truly belong. Patrick's mom noticed the sadness in his eyes as they walked out of the store. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Is everything okay, Patrick?" He shrugged, trying to hide his emotions. "Just jealous of Susan, I guess." His mom sighed, understanding the source of his feelings. "I know it's hard, but boys and girls are different. Susan needs a bra, and you don't. It's just the way it is." Patrick frowned, not fully convinced. "But why do girls need bras? It seems unfair." His mom smiled softly. "It's not about fairness, Patrick. It's about biology. Girls' bodies are different from boys'. Bras are just one of the many things that make them unique." Patrick pondered this for a moment, still feeling a bit left out. "Can't you get me a bra too, then, just to see what it's like?" His mom laughed. "No, Patrick. Bras are for girls, not boys. But I have an idea. If you do well on your final tests and get a good report card, I'll let you try on some of Susan's clothes. That way you can experience what it's like to be a girl, at least for a little while." Patrick's eyes lit up at the prospect. "Really? You'd do that for me?" His mom nodded. "Of course, as long as you promise to work hard and do your best on your tests." Over the next few weeks, Patrick threw himself into his studies. He wanted to make sure he did everything he could to earn his mom's promise. Patrick spent the next few weeks buried in his textbooks, determined to do well on his final exams. He barely had time to think about anything else, let alone his mom's promise. The thought of being a girl seemed like a distant dream, something that he could maybe think about later. As the days passed, Patrick's hard work paid off. He aced his exams, and soon enough, a thick envelope arrived in the mail. His heart raced as he tore it open, revealing his report card inside. It was filled with A's and B's, a stark contrast to the C's and D's he had been getting all year. He couldn't believe it. He had done it. He had turned his grades around and earned his mom's promise. Now all he had to do was wait for her to keep her word. Days turned into weeks, and still his mom didn't mention anything about letting him experience what it was like being a girl. Patrick began to feel frustrated and disappointed. Had his mom forgotten about her promise? Or was she just trying to teach him a lesson about the importance of following through on commitments? One evening, as Patrick was helping his mom with the dishes, he decided to bring it up. "Mom, remember how you said you'd let me find out what it's like being a girl if I did well on my final exams and got a good report card?" His mom looked at him, a hint of surprise in her eyes. "Oh, Patrick, I'm sorry, I completely forgot about that promise. I've been so caught up with work and everything else that I must have slipped my mind." Patrick felt a mix of relief and disappointment. He was glad that his mom hadn't forgotten about her promise on purpose, but he was still disappointed that she hadn't followed through. "Is there any way you could still keep your promise, Mom? I really want to know what it's like being a girl." His mom sighed, looking thoughtful. "I suppose I could, Patrick. But I want you to understand that being a girl isn't just about wearing pretty clothes and trying on bras. It's about the challenges and experiences that come with being a woman in today's society. Are you sure you're ready for that?" Patrick nodded eagerly. "Yes, Mom, I'm ready. I want to experience everything that being a girl has to offer." His mom smiled, her eyes softening. "All right, then. Let's make a plan." The next day, Patrick and his mom headed to the mall, just like they had before. But this time, Patrick was determined to make the most of the experience. He followed his mom around the store, taking in all the sights and sounds of the girls' clothing department. As they walked past the bra section, Patrick's mom stopped and picked out a few different styles for him to try on. He felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as he changed into his first bra. It was tight and uncomfortable at first, but as he got used to it, he began to understand why girls wore them. Next, they headed to the makeup counter, where Patrick's mom applied a bit of foundation, blush, and lipstick. He felt silly at first, but as he saw the transformation in the mirror, he began to appreciate the art of makeup. Finally, they headed to the shoe department, where Patrick's mom helped him pick out a pair of high heels. As he wobbled around in them, trying to maintain his balance, he realized just how difficult it was to walk in them. He had a newfound respect for women who wore heels every day. Throughout the day, Patrick's mom shared stories about her own experiences as a woman, talking about the challenges she had faced and the lessons she had learned. She encouraged Patrick to be open-minded and understanding, reminding him that being a girl was about more than just clothes and makeup. As the day came to an end, Patrick felt a newfound appreciation for the experiences and challenges that came with being a girl. He realized that there was so much more to being a woman than he had ever imagined, and he was grateful for the opportunity to learn about it firsthand. As they walked out of the mall hand in hand, Patrick's mom smiled at him. "I'm glad you enjoyed your day, Patrick. I hope it gave you a better understanding of what it's like to be a girl." Patrick woke up early the next morning, his heart pounding with excitement. He had waited for this day for what felt like an eternity. Yesterday, he had bought a handful of dresses, skirts, and other girls' clothing from the mall. Today, he was finally going to try them all on. He jumped out of bed and quickly got dressed in his new outfit, a light blue dress with frilly sleeves and a flared skirt. It was the first thing he had picked out yesterday, and he couldn't wait to see how it looked on him. His mom, who had slept in, was still in bed when Patrick entered his room. "Mom, I'm ready to try on my dresses," he exclaimed, twirling around in his new outfit. His mom smiled and sat up in bed. "That's great, Patrick. Let's get started." They headed downstairs, and Patrick's mom helped him change into his first dress. It was a pink sundress with a lace collar and a full skirt. Patrick looked at himself in the mirror, his eyes wide with wonder. He couldn't believe how different he felt in a dress. It was like a whole new world had opened up to him. His mom helped him adjust the straps and fluff out the skirt. "You look beautiful, Patrick," she said, her eyes sparkling with pride. Over the next few hours, Patrick tried on all of his new clothes. He wore a black miniskirt with a white blouse, a yellow sundress with a Peter Pan collar, and even a pair of white tights and a tutu. Each time he looked in the mirror, he felt more and more like a girl. His mom helped him with every outfit, adjusting the clothes and offering words of encouragement. "You're doing great, Patrick. You look stunning in everything." As they continued, Patrick began to feel more confident in his new clothes. He started to walk and move like a girl, swaying his hips and tossing his hair. His mom couldn't help but smile at the sight of her son transforming before her eyes. Finally, they reached the end of Patrick's collection. He was wearing a white lace dress with a sweetheart neckline and a full skirt. His mom helped him fasten the buttons at the back, and he turned to face her. "How do I look, Mom?" he asked, his heart pounding in his chest. His mom looked at him, her eyes filled with love and pride. "You look absolutely beautiful, Patrick. You're a natural." Patrick felt a rush of happiness wash over him. He had never felt so alive, so free. He knew that he had found something special in these clothes, something that made him feel like he could be anything he wanted to be. As they sat down for breakfast, Patrick couldn't help but feel a little nervous. He knew that he had to keep his secret from the neighborhood bullies, or else they would make fun of him and ruin everything. His mom noticed his concern and put a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Don't worry, Patrick. We'll make sure that nobody finds out about your little secret." Patrick nodded, his heart filled with gratitude. He knew that he could trust his mom to help him keep his secret safe. And as he sat there, dressed in his beautiful white dress, he felt more determined than ever to explore this new side of himself. As the day went on, Patrick continued to wear his new clothes around the house. He felt like a completely different person, and he loved every minute of it. He even started to practice walking and talking like a girl, trying to perfect his new persona. His mom watched him with a mixture of pride and amusement. She could see how much happiness these clothes brought him, and she knew that she had made the right decision in keeping her promise. As the sun began to set, Patrick changed back into his regular clothes. He knew that he had to be careful from now on, but he also knew that he would never forget the incredible feeling of being a girl. As they sat down for dinner, Patrick couldn't help but feel a sense of contentment. He had discovered something new about himself, something that made him feel alive and free. And as he looked around the table at his family, he knew that he had their support and love no matter what. After dinner, they went to his mom's room ready for a makeup session. Patrick's eyes widened as he looked at the array of makeup on his dresser. He had never seen so many colors and textures before. His mom explained that they would be trying on different types of makeup to see how they looked. Patrick hesitated for a moment, but his curiosity got the better of him. His mom started by showing him how to apply foundation. She explained that it was meant to even out skin tone and cover any blemishes. Patrick watched intently as she dabbed a small amount onto his face and blended it in with her fingers. He was surprised at how smooth and flawless his skin looked afterwards. Next, they moved on to eyeshadow. Patrick's mom showed him how to apply it with a brush, starting from the lash line and blending it upwards. She demonstrated with a shimmery silver shade, which caught the light and made his eyes sparkle. Patrick tried it himself, but he couldn't quite get the hang of blending the shadow. His mom laughed and helped him out, making sure the color was evenly distributed. They also experimented with eyeliner. Patrick's mom taught him how to create a subtle cat eye look, starting from the outer corner of his eye and extending the line upwards. It was tricky at first, but Patrick soon got the hang of it. His mom praised him for his efforts, and he felt a sense of accomplishment. Finally, they tackled lipstick. Patrick's mom showed him how to apply it with a lip brush, starting from the center of his lips and working outwards. She suggested a bright red shade, which she thought would look great on him. Patrick hesitated for a moment, but he decided to go for it. As he looked in the mirror, he couldn't believe how different he looked. The red lipstick made him feel bold and daring. As the evening wore on, Patrick and his mom continued to experiment with different makeup looks. They tried bold and dramatic styles, as well as more subtle and natural ones. Patrick found that he enjoyed the process of transforming himself, and he's felt a sense of freedom that he had never experienced before. His mom encouraged him to be creative and to have fun with it. She told him that makeup was a form of self-expression and that he could use it to explore different aspects of his personality. Patrick felt a newfound sense of confidence and self-assurance, and he was grateful for his mom's guidance and support. As the night came to an end, Patrick looked at himself in the mirror one last time. He couldn't believe how much he had changed in just a few hours. He felt like a completely different person, and he knew that he would never look at makeup the same way again. His mom smiled at him and said, "You did a great job, Patrick. I'm proud of you." Patrick felt a warm sense of satisfaction and gratitude. He knew that this was a special moment, one that he would remember for the rest of his life. The next day, Patrick went to school as usual, but he couldn't stop thinking about the previous evening. He felt a sense of excitement and anticipation, wondering what his classmates would think if they knew what he had been up to. He knew that he had to be careful, but he also knew that he couldn't let this newfound passion fade away. As the weeks went by, Patrick continued to experiment with makeup at home. He would try out different looks and styles, always pushing the boundaries and exploring new territory. His mom supported him every step of the way, encouraging him to be true to himself and to embrace his feminine side. From that day on, Patrick and Susan wore dresses together everywhere they went. They felt like they were part of a special club, a secret society of twins who understood each other on a deeper level. Their mom noticed the change in them and smiled, happy to see her children so close. As the weeks went by, Patrick and Susan's dresses became more elaborate. They started wearing matching outfits, complete with frilly collars and lace trim. They even started doing each other's hair and makeup, turning their bedroom into a mini salon. As their birthday approached, Patrick and Susan couldn't wait to celebrate. They had been planning a special party for weeks, and they knew that it was going to be the best one yet. The day of the party arrived, and the twins were a flurry of activity. They had decorated their house with streamers and balloons, and they had even baked a cake together. Their mom helped them set up the food and drinks, and soon their friends started arriving. As the party got underway, Patrick and Susan danced together, their dresses swirling around them. They laughed and joked with their friends, but their eyes kept returning to each other. They knew that this was a day they would remember forever, a day when they celebrated their unique bond and their mom's love for them. As the party wound down, their mom gathered them together. "Patrick and Susan, I want to say something," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "You two are the most special children in the world. You've shown me what true love and friendship look like, and I'm so proud of you." Patrick and Susan hugged their mom tightly, tears streaming down their faces. They knew that they were blessed to have her in their lives, and they vowed to always take care of each other and make her proud. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Patreon for a lot more content and early access to YouTube videos.